sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at upenradio.com.
Hey, everybody. It is Wednesday, June the 10th. I'm Emerson Collins.
And I'm Del Shores.
And you're listening to
The
Del and Emerson Show.
Straight talk.
Real gay. This week's episode of the Del and Emerson Show is brought to you by Equality Vodka. Oh, my gosh. Hey, Del Shores.
Hello, Emerson Collins.
Okay, we're not even going to pretend like we don't know what's going on with each other because we have a story to share.
Oh, my God. We have a story to... It was a week. It was a harried week.
Let me start and set the scene, if you will. Del Shores lives near the Hollywood Bowl. And we...
If you want to stalk me,
yes,
just
perfect.
start looking.
Just wait outside every concert and you'll see Del eventually. And so I was driving up to his house on Monday morning like I do, and when I pulled up the street, and it's one of those tiny one-way Hollywood Hills streets, up at the top of the hill there were 4 police cars parked. And so they said I could not come up to the house. There was a helicopter circling overhead, and they said I couldn't come up that direction until the helicopter was gone. So I backed my car back down the hill, which was a process, turned it around.
It was hard. It plays into the story. Very difficult to back down, right, Emerson?
I didn't have that hard a time. And then I got down to the street, turned my car around, and backed up the hill to park it. Cut to 15 minutes later, I'm sitting playing on Periscope, telling people what happened, wasting my time. And Del Shores pulls up, and I'm like, you can't get up to the house because there's a catastrophe going on. And there was also a post office truck stuck in front of him as well. So Del Shores starts to back down the hill. I'm playing on Periscope, never you mind, like not paying any attention. And then I hear a crunch.
And then it was more of a crunch. Well, but let's just say that first of all, it was very dramatic. It was very dramatic.
There was a lot going on
because by the time I got there, I think there was another helicopter circling.
Yes,
and there were 2 more police cars that came up during that time. And then the postman was very, very like, I got to get out of here. So I'm trying my best, and I will admit, everybody who knows me knows that probably I will be one of those people, they will be taking the driver's license away at some point in my life.
At some point.
And so I just backed it, and I got a little confused, and instead of stopping, I hit the accelerator again and just went further into his car. Okay, so I totaled his car. I totaled Emerson. So if anybody has a spare car out there, please let us know so I could not feel so guilty. Because Emerson's going to have to get another car.
And I will clarify, first of all, I drive a 2001 Nissan Altima. It's an old beater car. I love it because it doesn't matter what happens to it.
Loved.
No, it still exists. And he just hit right by the door and the window, so it really wasn't that much, but my car is worth so little that we took it to the adjuster guy yesterday and he went, yeah, it's totaled.
Yeah, it was I think it was $430 worth of damage.
It was probably not much more.
No, it had to be a few grand. Come on.
No, the car's not worth more. It's worth. I was looking on the internet. What? It's like $2,500 to $3,000 is what people are selling them for.
Well, anyway, mine's in the shop getting repaired, and Emerson's is.
So now I'm in a rental and going
Ultima Heaven,
going car shopping. And for those of you that were curious, the police were there because there was apparently a home invasion behind Del's house, and they weren't sure if the home invader was armed, so it took them a while to get in there and get him out. But everyone was safe. They made sure to move him from the property, and eventually all the police cars and the helicopter.
It was a crazy homeless man who broke into a woman's house and started throwing plates at her. So it was kind of odd, but he wasn't armed. And by the time I left, there was a SWAT team that came. So it was like, I think it was a little overplayed by the police department.
Maybe
a little bit.
Well, I figure if it was my house, I wouldn't have thought it was overplayed. So the moral of the story is, you guys, I traded my car for a great story to share with you guys on the radio show today.
And we weren't that upset about it. We just thought, in the scheme of things, I was a little more worried about the Chihuahuas.
Well, I feel like you're more worried about those Chihuahuas than just about anything.
It's a little pitiful, isn't it?
So, all right. Well, it was a big week in the gay news, so let's kick it off. Our equality update today is brought to you by Equality Vodka.
Equality Vodka is an ultra-premium vodka brand with one agenda: equality for all. Support our LGBT communities by asking for Equality Vodka everywhere. Join Equality Vodka on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. One voice, one vodka, Equality Vodka.
Every single bottle of Equality Vodka purchased results in a donation to a recognized nonprofit organization advancing the equality movement for the LGBT community. So for more information on how to get Equality Vodka stocked at your event or at your local bar, visit them at equalityvodka.com. And if you're obviously, you should be watching on the webcast, and you can see their big, beautiful bottle. And so it's a great addition to any home bar.
Yes, and if you're out, I mean, it's Pride Week and Pride Month, actually, Pride Month. Ask at your local watering hole. Say, I want a quality vodka. I was playing Lanny's, which I had a great time in Denver. Loved those Denver audiences. And I told the owner about Equality Vodka, and she said, we should stock it here. We should have it here. Because I love that they give back. They give back to the equality movement.
Yes.
And perfect sponsor for us.
So
thank you for sponsoring us.
You can get smashed and still be helping our community.
There you go.
Win, win, win.
And be responsible if you do get smashed.
I guess.
Okay. Well, you don't, because you're not a drinker.
I know.
This is really fits me. I am a vodka drinker.
You and Ann Walker.
We are.
All right. Well, in our actual equality news, on Friday, Guam became the first U.S. territory to have marriage equality, which is super exciting. David Cruz from The Millionaire Matchmaker, that's one of Patty's assistants. He's from Guam and has made several videos about moving forward for marriage equality there. So that's huge and exciting.
It is very exciting.
In other really interesting news, the ACLU has called on the Justice Department to use Title VII for sexual orientation cases. For those of you not familiar, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is what defines the protected classes, including race and religion. But it has not been used exclusively for sexual orientation. But the idea that they're using is to suggest that sex discrimination, which is protected under Title VII, applies to sexual orientation because it's based on the idea that sexual orientation is rooted in sex-based norms, because part of the normal consideration, quote unquote, is that men should be attracted to women and women should be attracted to men. So if you're discriminating against orientation, that's a sex discrimination. So it'd be really exciting if they achieved that. It would just give more ammunition to prosecuting cases of discrimination against LGBT people. So that's great.
Yes.
And then the Pentagon yesterday announced, Defense Secretary Ashton Carr said that the Pentagon was adding sexual orientation to the Defense Department's equal opportunity policy, saying it would be treated the same way it treats discrimination based on race, religion, color, sex, age, and national origin. So that's really exciting to be put on equal par there. He said discrimination of any kind has no place in the armed forces. He did not, however, address transgender military service, which is an ongoing contentious issue, so we will continue.
Yes, but it continues to be in the news, and I'm excited to see. I mean, with Caitlyn Jenner coming out as trans, and so many, we've got some news here this week about trans news. So anyway, y'all, I just took a cold medicine, so I'm.
So here, this is gonna be spacey.
So it just kicked in.
Wait, and while he's saying that,
and I'm drinking Red Bull. Not with vodka yet.
And while he's saying that, I feel like I will. There are occasionally people who worry that I'm a little too mean to Del Shores. First of all, he wrecked my car. So today, between that and this cold medicine, all bets are off.
And I flew in here like 2 minutes
before the show started.
It's very rare for me. I'm always paranoid I'm not going to get here, but I thought, I'll stop and get cold medicine. Oh, there was a line. Okay.
Other equality news?
All right. Well, Mary Cheney calls out Republican potential candidates. And, I've never been a big fan of Mary Cheney. Just for the simple fact that she is a Republican, but she did something great. As we know, she's the daughter of Dick Cheney. She's an open lesbian, and she has made a difference. I mean, she married her partner and in 2012, and in an op-ed for Fox News, she said, sometimes it seems as they are in a contest to see who can be the most stalwart defender of traditional marriage, who can most effectively stoke the unfounded fears of the far right. Let's be clear, the fight over marriage equality isn't about religious freedom or the criminalization of Christianity. Regardless of what the U.S. Supreme Court decides this term, the American public is already on the side of American equality. It will increase relationship stability, strengthen families, and provide legal protections for children growing up in same-sex families, all of whom are goals in keeping with the principles of the Republican Party. What's interesting to me about this is there's a lot, when I do have intelligent conversations with Republicans, many times who are gay Republicans, they say, well, we need to be there to make a difference within that party. And I feel like that she did use her platform and did it very effectively in that way.
Absolutely.
So I have to applaud her for that, even though I am, you know me, I'm as far left as you can get. But I have to say that I'm happy to read this story and hear this story.
Absolutely. In the immortal words of Beyonce, to the left, to the left.
To the left, to the left, to the left.
All right. Well, it is Pride Month, and in celebration of that, I sort of made up this new little segment that we're going to call "Is Pride Making Us Proud?" And to me, it comes off the idea that sometimes at the end of a long day at Pride, people should be a little ashamed of their current behavior.
Sometimes.
So we're going to look at the stories in the news related to prides, both in the U.S. and around the world, through the season, and decide whether the story makes us proud or ashamed.
All right.
To start off with, and this actually, I think it's important to pay attention to the difference in how LGBT people are treated here and around the world. Last week, this weekend, there was a March for Equality in Ukraine, in Kyiv. The mayor actually last week called on LGBT activists to call off the march while the eastern portion of the country is still controlled by Russian-backed separatists. He was worried about the response. They went ahead with it anyway. And 30 people were arrested on suspicion of hooliganism, and 9 police officers were injured while protecting the LGBT rights supporters. The mayor has called for those who attack the march to be strictly punished. Now, I found this, and I think this is an important part of the message of Pride. The activists there said clearly that this was a march, not a parade, because the LGBT community there has little to celebrate.
That made me sad when I read that.
Well, to me, it's a good reminder of how it started. You know, the first Pride parades following Stonewall were much more that. They were really activist things, and there are still places around the world where just showing up at a march puts yourself in danger.
Right.
You're stepping forward. You know, here, there's a very celebratory environment, and we do have lots to celebrate, even though we have lots of room still left to go, particularly with trans equality. So our parades are more celebrations, but lots of places it really, truly is still a very strong political statement. So much so that in Ukraine, a group called Zero Tolerance posted on the Russian social media pictures of who they thought were LGBT activists, and the comments underneath included things like, "These degenerates do not deserve to live." Another wrote, "Homo thugs will be destroyed," and another said, "We should have beaten them with a crowbar across the spine."
Wow.
So this makes us extremely proud, this one, of our brothers and sisters in Ukraine who are fighting in an environment that's genuinely dangerous for them to be visible and to stand up for their equality.
Well, you know, I don't think I told this on the air last week, but I told you. Sometimes I get confused what we talk about on the air, but I had an Uber driver who was Russian recently, and I asked him where he was from. He had the accent. He was real handsome. So I, of course, engaged in a conversation, and he said, "I'm from Russia," and he said, "And today's a very big day for me. I celebrate my first year anniversary of being in the United States." And I said, "What made you come here?" And he said, "Freedom. I get to be who I am." And it just hit me so hard that, that sometimes you just have to leave.
Yeah.
And that's what he chose. So, yes, you're absolutely right. So, all right, moving on. And, it's not all good here in the States. I mean, we still have a lot of hate going on. And we saw this this week in Arkansas. State Senator Jason Rappert spoke out against the Pride Parade in Conway, Arkansas, saying, let me do my Arkansas. "This is truly one of the most offensive public displays against Christians you will find anywhere in our state, and especially offensive because they have specifically chosen Sunday to try and intimidate people who believe in the Word of God." Oh, what
Bless his bigoted heart.
Let's just break down Sunday and Saturday when you worship. I mean, please, just ignorance prevails there. But what I love, I told you, Conway, Arkansas, right now is countering that message with My Play Sordid Lives. It is on stage as we speak at the Lantern Theater. This is the last weekend. They did it as their Pride. So y'all go see Sordid Lives at the Lantern Theater if you're down there to counter this asshole.
Yeah, well, and the mayor...
I was going to say motherfucker, but I censored myself.
And the mayor showed up to speak in support of LGBT rights, so the town is doing well. And also, yesterday, a federal judge said that the 500 same-sex marriages that took place in Arkansas during that weird period where the judge overturned it before the state Supreme Court put a stay in place that all of their marriages are valid. So there are 500 same-sex couples in Arkansas that are now legally and officially married while we wait for the Supreme Court decision.
Yeah, but that was a really interesting. When I read this, that was interesting to me because we have seen sort of a cease and desist with any judgments in federal courts as we wait for the Supreme Court, which is, by the way, within the next 3 weeks. Correct?
Coming up, it seems.
Countdown. Yes. So good for this federal judge who said, "Hey, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to." Now, I did read though that there could be a stay on this. Is that true?
No.
No, it's done.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It must have been the cold medication.
Go on to the next one.
That's yours.
No, the next one.
Oh, the next one after. Don't get impatient with me. Did you hear that tone, John?
I told y'all I was going to be mean.
There was a tone.
You wrecked my car.
I will never live that down.
I get to use that for like one more day at least.
Yeah, I'm glad to actually give this story. This is Iowa Pride catered by Chick-fil-A. I have been so hard on Chick-fil-A, and I was educated. I was actually in the airport not too long ago in Atlanta. And I tweeted out, would somebody come and make out with me in front of the Chick-fil-A so that I can get a good picture? And somebody tweeted back that a lesbian actually was the manager there, and that particular franchise was very gay-friendly. And it educated me that so many of the Chick-fil-A's, we saw it here in Los Angeles, where they are the franchises themselves do not support what the national chain or the franchise owners do not. They vastly differ from the stance of Dan Cathy, who the owner of Chick-fil-A. So anyway, the Chick-fil-A in Coralville, Iowa, announced that it will be providing 200 sandwiches and sides to Iowa City's Pride annual picnic on June 19th. So I love that. Yeah, me too.
And I do. Well, it's like the one in Hollywood that hosted a fundraiser for LGBT youth.
That wasn't that when you and Leslie Jordan, we didn't know who was going to get there first
Yes.
because y'all were so excited that you could have waffle fries again.
Yes.
Leslie goes, I don't have to hide anymore. I don't have to put sunglasses and like he could go in disguise anywhere.
Right. You're like, right? All right. Well, let's flash through the gay news. A big gay weekend. Sunday night was the Tony Awards, hosted by Kristen Chenoweth and Alan Cumming. And there were a couple of extremely exciting things. One, Fun Home, that took home the big musical award. First of all, it's the great American lesbian musical that we never knew that we needed.
And I didn't know existed, honestly. I'd not heard of it. I've been under a Tony rock.
It's been a really big deal, and they won 5 awards and set a new, an exciting precedent. The women that won for writing the music and lyrics are the first all-female team to win that award ever. And the little girl that sang on the Tonys was exquisite. And I told you this, I'm going to say it again. Somebody somewhere needs to be doing the biopic of Jodie Foster so that little girl can play her at the taxi driver age before she gets too old.
She was quite special, and I loved everything about that musical that I saw on the Tonys. So I'm excited about this, and I want to go to New York and see this show.
And I always love that the Tony Award winners give really articulate and hilarious speeches. Ruthie Ann Miles, that won for The King and I, she's the 4th Asian American ever to win a Tony, gave like the funniest speech of the night. And sweet Kelly O'Hara, that is just geniusly gifted, has lost 6 Tonys, I believe,
didn't know
finally
that.
won.
Yeah.
Well, she's just, she's been in everything.
You called her the Susan Lucci of the Tonys.
She is. Well, it's like she's lost as many Tonys as Audra McDonald has won. Like, she's that level of talent, and every time there's like one person that squeaks past her at the end, and she's brilliant and gorgeous, and her speech was so sweet. What did you think of our hostesses?
Well, I like it when Emerson asks me a question like that because he really wants to say what he thought of the hostess. I don't think I had as big of a problem with them as you did. I actually love Kristen Chenoweth and basically anything she does. It did get a little silly at times, and I at times I thought, yes, I am missing Hugh Jackman and Neil Patrick Harris, but I don't think it's easy to co-host. Do you?
I don't think it is either.
I mean, look at me. I have the hardest time on
know.
this show. It's
a
so
struggle.
difficult.
Y'all remember like our first 3 episodes when like I would interrupt Del and he would look at me like, what's happening?
Now we just don't give a shit.
No, I do. Well, one, I think Kristen Chenoweth and Alan Cumming are both phenomenally talented individuals, and I think hosting an award show is so much harder than anyone at home ever thinks. And I think it was just demonstrated a little bit because I don't think they're the right energy chemistry, first off.
Right.
He's a very like low-key, laid back. And for me, it felt like she spent 3 hours trying too hard.
Oh.
Like just a little. It's like, cutesy is cute for a minute. And then after a certain point, it's like, you're not the high school girl at the talent show that's like better than everybody else anymore. Like, calm down.
I do always love it when someone pretends to be upset when they lose, and I thought that was a very funny moment. But now let's talk about their opening outfits just a little bit because it is a
I
gay
think
show.
you're being real generous calling them outfits.
I said, is this a joke? I mean, did they get mixed up?
Well, this was supposed to be the year that Anna Wintour saved the Tonys by getting real fashion designers to clothe everybody, and he came out in shorts and shit on a jacket with no pants.
Yes, it was very odd. It was an odd choice.
I mean, the shorts, I get it. Alan's quirky and weird and, spent the whole night
but maybe
creating bisexual awareness, but it just seemed, I don't know.
Okay.
It was just... But all of the Zach Posen gowns that many of the actual nominees were wearing were gorgeous. So I did really love them bringing the typical red carpet flair that the Hollywood actresses get to give to these crazy talented women. So that was really great.
But you didn't like the double purple outfit
no!
with
Deborah Messing and whatever her name and the other woman, they walked out in those almost matching
poor
purple
other
dresses.
woman.
And well, I forget her name. I'm sorry, I don't know them all. The way I am with musical theater is in Los Angeles, I'm like a musical theater expert, and in New York, I'm like a musical theater like moron. So like I'm like weird halfway in between.
But you're so right. They were wearing almost the same outfit.
And Deborah Messing is a comedic genius, as Leslie Jordan would say, and she didn't even make a joke about it.
She was probably just kind of horrified. What?
I know, but
Someone should have told you I was wearing purple.
if it isn't a bit, make it one. Like
we don't get that upset when we come on our radio show and wear blue shirts.
well, no, all of my clothes are the gay uniforms. It's either a V-neck or a tank top.
I've got my equality T-shirt.
I do
on
not
today,
claim to
which
be a fashionista.
Which, by the way, I just want to say, for Equality Vodka, I was wearing this T-shirt and eating, and I spilled soup all over it, and I had to wash it by hand and throw it in the dryer. So I thought, I gotta have it. I have to have it on. It has to. I had this all planned out. Anyway, so let's move on.
Yes, in other exciting television news, Monday night saw the premiere on ABC Family of a series called Becoming Us. It's a docu-series about a family, a boy named Ben, a 16 to 17-year-old guy, and his mother, Susie, and his father, who is now Carly. It also includes his half-sister, Sutton, his girlfriend, Danielle, and her father, who is also a trans woman. And it was really interesting. I was a little nervous going in because it's brought to you by Ryan Seacrest, and, he does a little bit of flashy reality television, but I actually found it really beautiful. It was the perfect antithesis to the sort of circus that is surrounding the Caitlyn Jenner and Kardashian story. This is basically the same story with the real people. They're just like us version. It's very simple. It's very honest in dealing with the emotional difficulties. You see Carly have a difficult conversation with Ben about getting her bottom surgery. And Ben's very honest teenager emotional reaction. You see them sort of make jokes with his friends, and it felt like a very authentic exploration of what a trans person's coming out process is, but also the emotional impact on the family around them who's also dealing with the change in a very non-sensational way. I found it really, really beautiful, and I hope it does amazingly well.
And I'm sorry I haven't seen it yet. I set my DVR. I'm going to admit something.
Oh?
And I didn't admit this to you.
Oh?
I got obsessed with catfish.
Stop.
It was just one after another, and I forgot to set the DVR. I'm looking, I go, oh my God, it's on. Becoming Us and it was over. So I have the rerun scheduled, and I will catch up.
But if you missed it, I'm sure they're re-airing it during the week, and it airs on ABC Family on Monday nights in a block with the Fosters. So it's a great 2 hours of wonderful LGBT programming that you should be checking out. Can we just skip the next thing?
You're just tired of them.
I am.
It's a Duggar story.
We have on the net. Well, this is super fast. So the Duggars did their.
I keep saying Duggar. It's Duggar.
They did 2 hours. Well, I've never watched the show once. They did 2 hours of interviews on Fox News last week. That was frustrating for a lot of people because the parents' hour spent a lot of time minimizing the impact of the actual abuse, and then of course a lot of people were frustrated with the girls' part of the interview because it seemed they were parroting talking points. And I want to be really clear that at no point are we blaming the girls for the trauma of what they've been through. Just I think a lot of victims advocates that I've been talking to and other victims said that they could see a lot of apparent damage there in the way that they were talking about. And so Fox News did that, and it was actually just announced this morning that a social services rep, a social worker, went to the Duggar, whatever. Duggar.
It's Duggar, right?
House.
We just want to forget him.
Based on a call. So that story continues, and I think the only redeeming aspect of this story is the way it's creating awareness about what happens when abuse is covered up, because I think it's a lot difficult for a lot of abuse survivors to come forward and talk about it in the first place, and at least having a national conversation about this continues to create awareness that hopefully gives people the strength to come forward and tell their stories and confront their abusers.
Well, I did go back and watch some of them and the clips from it, and it feels, you know what bothered me about it, and again, I'm not to diminish anything that these, it felt like they were just going, it was no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
There was that quality that was upsetting, and I think probably upsetting to anybody who has been abused, because you're defending your brother. I get it, and they were basically saying this should not have come out because they were underage and it should not have ever surfaced in the first place. But that bothered me. It was just like no big deal, and leave us alone. And I get that, you know, it was a violation of their identity, as we talked about on the show.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right, well, a couple of quick flashes.
Okay, well, we've got our first trans entertainer who is going to be a wax figure at Madame Tussauds in honor of Pride.
I'm sorry, at where?
I can't say things.
This is not
Tucson.
a new place.
Tussauds. Okay, so John, who do you think it is? Who is the trans with what's going on in the news and everything?
This is supposed to be quick.
No, it's not. It's Laverne Cox. Yes, Miss Laverne Cox. Congratulations. All right, I'm quick. Go. I said the name wrong. I'm on cold medication, y'all. I'm on cold and ignorant.
That'll work.
I'm going to get so many letters of support this week.
You going to do this next one?
Is this mine too?
Yes.
Wait.
Oh, my God. Okay, Caitlyn Jenner sent out a tweet that this week that I found really encouraging, that she's doing her homework and learning about the trans community and the trans issues, because the tweet said, "Learn from those who have walked the path before you. Hashtag trans is beautiful. Hashtag living our truth. Hashtag just the beginning." And it was a photo of her with 6 other women with their backs and their arms linked together. And I felt like it was a great sign that she really is digging into the issues that are facing the community. So hopefully she will have great things to say in support of the community as well as we go forward. All right, in other news, so you guys, Fitbit has become a big deal with Apple and the Apple Watch and various things. Well, there is a Fitbit for your penis being introduced. It is essentially a cock ring that uses technology to improve your sex life. You just slide it on and go. When you're finished, the app on your phone tells you how many calories you burned, what moves you made, and even your top speeds.
Top?
Well, yes, because you're the one. Well, I would assume so if you're the one wearing it, right? And then the app, this is my favorite part, provides suggestions on how to make your sex life even better, including sexual positions you may want to try based on your results. Here's my problem. One, it's a lot of pressure. Like, if you know you're going to be judged at the end of a session, aren't you? I would be stressed out thinking about it the whole time. Like, oh, this isn't a good position for me to burn calories, and the Fitbit's going to tell me that I didn't do very good.
And I would be going, oh, that might hurt my back.
That too.
But I have to say that if you were auditioning as their spokesperson, you just did an amazing commercial.
Well, you know,
See, I'm being nice
try.
to you. I'm being nice to you.
You wrecked my car.
Okay, let's go to Texas. Let's go to, you know, your parents actually live in this town, McKinney, Texas, and there was a little hate going on there and a little love at the same time. 7th graders, Sammy Hyman, a 7th grader at, I guess it's called Fabian Middle School in McKinney, Texas, designed gay OK t-shirts. And he and 14 other students wore these shirts to support a fellow 7th grader who had been bullied because he had come out. And several students said administrators confronted them as soon as they walked into school Wednesday morning, suggesting that the shirts were inappropriate for school. At lunchtime, when administrators began calling the students out to the cafeteria, some of the other students began chanting, "Gay, okay." I love these kids. I love them. And they actually tweeted it out on a video on Twitter. As a result of the disruption, 2 students were sent home, and others were told to cover up their shirts or turn them inside out. They cared more about our simple shirt than what said on our shirt, gay okay, and the extreme bullying that has happened to the people who have come out recently. And that was the statement by this 7th grader, Sammy Hyman. I love him. So now, though, we have had a little turnaround. A spokesperson for the district says, we told the campus administration that they should not have asked the students to take off the shirts or change shirts. We told them that students have every right to wear the shirts. I'm just wondering, though, would they have made that statement if there hadn't been this amazing social media that we have right now that can expose such things?
Well, I mean, but what I sort of think that's what leads to the great result is now the district is behind it because of the reaction. And I love that, like, these kids took it upon themselves to say, hey, our friend isn't being treated well, and we're going to say something about it.
I did. I love this story.
And it's the best way to counteract bullying, and this is an actual example of actual bullying.
Absolutely. And people who stand by their friends. And it's what we've been saying. This next generation is going to take care of this. So, yay.
Yes.
All right.
Flashing on. U.S. Air Force Captain Anthony Interanti is a 34-year-old deployed in the Middle East as a critical care nurse. This year, he was riding an AIDS Life Cycle's big ride. The ride, 545 miles from Los Angeles to San Francisco, or the other way around. I forget. I don't ride bikes. And he is one of the top fundraisers. He raised $59,000 almost entirely on Grindr and Scruff. He said, I would engage with everyone around the world who would send me a woof or whatever, eventually telling them that I was going to ride in Life Cycle to end HIV and that I appreciate their support. He was amazed at how generous people were. About $56,000 of the money he raised was from hundreds of strangers representing every continent, including Antarctica, who were enticed to connect with him online via his sexy swimsuit picture. I gotta say, that must be one hell of a picture.
Well, there's one thing that confuses me. I mean, Scruff and Grindr, it feels like you want to know who's close by. Who in Antarctica is going to hook up with that Antarctica guy? It's just not that I didn't realize it traveled all the way up there.
Yes, it did. Well, I'm impressed they have good service in Antarctica. I can barely get service at Franklin and La Brea.
When you were active on Grindr, like when I go to another area, do you just push it just to see I wonder who's in this area?
Yes, driving through town to get new people on your radar. Gives you something to look at later on.
All
right, flashing on.
Okay. Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son, calls on Christians to blacklist the LGBT-friendly companies. Here's his quote. Have you ever asked yourself, how can we fight the tide of moral decay that is being crammed down our throats? I always love it when they use that analogy. Shoved down our throats, crammed down our throats. By big business, the media, and the gay and lesbian community. Every day it's something else. Tiffany started advertising wedding rings for gay couples. Wells Fargo Bank is using a same-sex couple in their advertising. And there are more, but it has dawned on me that we don't have to do business with them. At the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, we are moving our accounts from Wells Fargo to another bank. And guess what? We don't have to shop at Tiffany & Company. There are plenty of other jewelry stores. This is one way we as Christians can speak out. We have the power of choice. Let's stop doing business with those who promote sin and stand against God Almighty's laws and his standards. Maybe if enough of us do this, it will get their attention. Share this if you agree. And he got 42,000 shares at this point. Okay, so I want to challenge everybody who is listening. If you are looking for a bank, go to Wells Fargo and open an account. We're about to open an account. I think we're going to choose Wells Fargo for our business because of this story. If you are thinking of getting married, consider Tiffany's. Go to Target and some of these gay-friendly companies that we are. Let's counter this bullshit.
Well, also, I mean, poor Mr. Franklin Graham, who's just been run through the ringer on social media, and I love it. Because it's real hard to find a homophobic bank. They switched, it came out this morning, to BB&T, which recently hosted a gay pride fundraiser honoring 2 longtime same-sex couples and other legacy couples in Miami. So his new bank, real LGBT-friendly.
So they're just going to have to keep jerking it out?
And putting it in a mattress. Put your money in a mattress, Franklin.
I don't remember his dad being this hateful. I just don't. Growing up, was he?
Well, Billy Graham is not supportive of the community, and it just wasn't as big an issue in the news.
Maybe that's it. Maybe he just didn't. I mean, now he's frail and feeble and not able to speak, really. But all right, moving on.
I'm flashing on. Okay, I love this story. This is a warning, and since Dell's obsessed with catfish right now, It seems appropriate, and you all know. I feel like I told the story on the radio once about getting catfished, right?
I don't remember. Did you?
I don't know. I'll tell it in a minute. Well, it's kind of long. But this guy posted an anonymous post online about how he does not feel any remorse about being a catfisher on Grindr, and this is what he said, and it's hilarious. And also a warning to remember that the person you're sending those photos of your private areas to might not be the person you think they are. He said, all my life, I thought I just had a shitty personality because I couldn't seem to form good relationships with anyone, whether platonic or otherwise. My experience catfishing has convinced me otherwise. It is so easy to talk to people when they think you're someone who is attractive. Guys open up to me, take revealing pictures of themselves, and express their love for me. Turns out my people skills have been good enough all this time. I'm just too damn ugly for anyone to take me seriously. I love that. It's honest and it's truthful.
I kind of love him.
He then went on to say, this is at once maddening and liberating. I like taking hot guys down a peg. They've been given so much and are so blissfully unaware of it. I love getting them to take pics of themselves playing with their ass. For all the benefits they receive for being born good looking, I feel like they deserve to be punished just a little bit for it. I think that's fair. Ultimately, I'm not really hurting anyone, just temporarily embarrassing them, but they can handle it.
Well, what is he doing? Reposting? Because how is he? I'm not understanding the embarrassment. If you send a picture of yourself playing with your ass, how is that embarrassing?
Well, I guess he could be putting it on some other forum of like, look at guys I got to play with their buttholes.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know. One, I don't think that's not nice that he's doing that, but also it is kind of hilarious because we've all had that thing. I told you my story when I first started using online apps. I just used my torso at first because I was nervous about it, and didn't want to like immediately be telling everyone who I was and that I was on there, and I might have had a little bit of shame about like, is this okay? But I would message with people, and then we'd have a great little cute bantery conversation like I do. And then I'd send them a picture of my face, and I wouldn't hear anything from them again. That was so much worse for my self-esteem. Because they were basically what they were saying was like, oh, I think your body's cute, but I don't like the face that goes with it. So I immediately switched it to like, here's my face, because if you don't like that, we shouldn't talk to each other. It's okay if you don't like what's below it, but I realized my self-esteem couldn't handle you rejecting my face once, but you liked my torso. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
I was like, this is all I got. The face is what it is.
Well, I suffer greatly from you've seen my show. It's
Yes.
a whole section about those apps and how.
So that's your warning. Remember, you're sending photos to somebody. Till you've met them, they may not be who you think they are.
All right, in the naked news,
Yes.
Going over to Manchester, I've been there actually. The police received an urgent call after a man was spotted running naked down Canal Street in the city's gay village last week. When they arrived, the naked man was camped under the famed New Union Hotel. According to this man, what happened is he hooked up with some guy at a nearby bar. They went to a secluded area to, do what people do in those areas. He eagerly removed all of his clothes, not just
Everything.
He didn't just unzipped, just took everything off. This other person grabbed his keys, his wallet, his cell phone, his underpants, his clothes, and ran off, leaving this poor guy completely naked with nothing. The police came. They they arrived.
I don't think anybody can.
They arrived. The police arrived. They took pity on the naked man, and no charges were filed. And I think that was very, very sweet of them.
Well, the moral of that story is, if you're going to hook up with somebody in public, don't take all your clothes off. Also be careful because that's illegal.
Yes, it is illegal, and you could be, you would have a mugshot.
All right, Flesh and Own. Lots of you have seen in the news, former Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, was indicted for illegally withdrawing large sums of money from his bank account to get around financial reporting laws. He just pleaded not guilty to those charges in court. Now, apparently the issue was that he, long before he was the Speaker of the House, he was a teacher and wrestling coach, and he was paying hush money to a former male student who claimed he was molested by Hastert. Someone else has come forward to say that was also the case, and a woman this week also revealed that her now deceased brother told her the same thing, so there are apparently multiple people claiming this. Dennis Hastert had paid almost half of a $3.5 million fee to this former student in order for him to stay quiet. What's interesting is he's not charged for potential sexual abuse or molestation. He's just charged for getting around the financial reporting laws. But weird part of this story is that he's the Speaker of the House that was brought in after Newt Gingrich left when all of the Bill Clinton-Monica Lewinsky scandal was happening because he was deemed very non-controversial. And he hasn't been in Congress for a number of years, so this... basically, all of the stuff about him molesting students has come out as a result of paying someone to keep them quiet.
Isn't that about the same time that Newt Gingrich divorced his wife who had cancer in the hospital? And yes, it is.
I said I don't know.
I'm really not asking you. I'm just informing you.
Well, you framed it in the form of a question.
I realize that. Sort of you asking me about the Tonys and what I thought of the host. He did. He was having an affair with an intern as he was just mowing Clinton down. Ultimately married her. There he is. Yes, that's Dennis, right?
Well,
all right. And more naked news. We have an independent candidate for prime minister in Denmark, his name is John Erik Wagner. And his campaign is completely naked. He's in a bus poster on the streets of Copenhagen in a cowboy hat and a gun holster and nothing else. And actually, you can see his penis.
Like full on. I want to be prime minister. Here's my dick.
Full on. You could. He's uncircumcised. That's it. That's in the picture as well. And Wagner is running on a 10-point platform. 10-point platform that includes closing all of the nation's job centers, changing local election rules, making dentist visits free, like doctor's visits, and instructing the labor market so that all the workers have 6 months on the job and 6 months off on holiday.
Well, you should trust him because he's willing to show you his penis.
There you go.
All right, flashing on. We've throughout this our show, we've done a lot about the various pro and anti-LGBT billboards, and the billboard wars continue. There's a group behind a series of billboards called God Loves Gays. They just revealed a new one in Orem, Utah, and their next one goes up June 14th in Salt Lake City. They have plans for 3 more in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Broken Arrow. Just this week, they announced their next one will go up in Fayetteville, Arkansas, the home of the Duggars, and I absolutely love that they're doing that. The billboards simply proclaim God loves gays and show a smiling cartoon version of God. The purpose of these billboards, they say, will be to show everyone that all humans are equal and loved by God. And that is kind of amazing.
It is amazing. We've got the billboard in the chat room. John just put it up, and then in other Christian news, Tony Campolo, who is a very prominent minister. He's the founder and president of the Evangelical Association for the Promotion of Education. He's written more than 35 books, and he has called on Christians for same-sex marriage inclusion. He said, "I am finally ready to call for the full acceptance of Christian gay couples into the church. I have come to know so many gay Christian couples whose relationships work in much the same way as our own. Our friendships with these couples have helped me understand how important it is for the inclusion and disapproval of their unions by the Christian community to end. We in the church should actively support such families. Furthermore, we should be doing we should be doing all we can to reach, comfort, and include all those precious children of God who have been simply wronged and led to believe that they are mistakes, are just not good enough for God, simply because they're not straight." I love him so much for this, and he's taking a beating by some of the conservatives like Franklin Graham and these people. And there's a petition that's on my fan page from faithfulamerican.org that they were trying to get 15,000, and they were very, very close to it, saying, "Hey, thank you so much to Tony Campola for doing this."
Yes.
And more news, Matthew Vines, author of God and the Gay Christian, is now meeting with evangelical leaders who are looking for a way through issues of same-sex marriage without it being a culture war. So he's trying to educate through intelligence and through humanity. So I really love these stories.
Well, and it's that very thing that we've talked about, that, you know, there are a lot of LGBT people of faith, and we continuously call upon Christians who are supportive of the LGBT community to step forward, and counteract the bigots that we so often talk about. And Tony and people like him are a great example of that. So that's really great movement. So from that really important and relevant news to a passion that we're passionate about, to something else that is really, really also very important.
I think the next section should be called Vaginas and Butts.
Yes, that works too. Artist Anish Kapoor's Dirty Corner Monument is a 60-meter long rusty metal funnel surrounded by rocks, and it sits across from the palace at Versailles in France. According to Kapoor, it is a giant sculpture of a queen's private parts. A queen's vagina taking power. It is a 60-meter long, rusty metal vagina.
You know what? It just looks like a seashell to me. Like, it just looks like some kind of seashell, doesn't it?
I thought it looked like a cornucopia.
Is that what? I don't know.
You know, like at Thanksgiving? But a lot of people are complaining because with 15 million visitors a year to Versailles, they don't feel that this is a family-friendly attraction. Y'all, it just looks like a giant metal funnel.
I do not think that anybody who looked at that without reading whatever it's supposed to be would know what it is. People are just silly.
No, it looks like one of those olden-timey things that, you know, really, really old people put in their ears to be able to hear you
That's
better.
exactly, or like a Victrola.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
That's what you tell the kids. Honey, it's from a Victrola.
Okay, moving on.
And finally, in this section of nonsense, researchers at University of Florida and Drexel University and the University of Wisconsin have worked together to create Patrick. Patrick is a robotic butt. Seriously.
I love the way did you just pause for the
Dramatic
audience
effect,
for
yes.
the audience to laugh? It
Yes.
was like a laugh line.
It was. Well, the studio audience is quiet, but that's still a laugh moment. Patrick
Worldwide, they were laughing.
is a
Emerson.
robotic butt who assists medical students in practicing for proctology exams. He has 4 sensors to allow them to detect whether or not they are applying the right amount of pressure to the prostate area. This is my favorite part. Patrick also helps students practice interacting with patients who might not be too keen on receiving such an intimate exam. And Patrick is programmed to be a little hesitant about the exam, meaning the students have to talk him through the process and explain why it might be necessary. Patrick's a little gun-shy about things
that
going
the-
in his butt.
It's like tops and straight men.
Yes, that's what it's for.
That's what that part of it is.
This is for your non-verse, non-bottom men.
Wow.
Yes. All
What
right.
will
well,
they think of next?
I love it. And did you have the photo of that?
I don't have
Oh. Well,
Google search while I
Well,
check
no,
in with
we're-
crazy.
yeah.
All right, we have North Carolina pastor telling the gay grads that they're going to hell. Surprise, surprise. This is Pastor Scott Carpenter. He said he had to deliver the message he calls biblical truth to graduating seniors at King Mountain High School in North Carolina during the annual graduation service. That message that every one of them will burn in hell for all eternity if you are gay. Now, this is a public school. This is not a private school. So that's what's kind of repulsive about this whole thing. Parents actually were outraged. They said it's a public school. These are children. I think there should be some level of responsibility of the speaker coming in and not take advantage of a captive audience. The pastor then replied, nobody got bashed or anything. All I did was simply speak biblical truth. The number one audience that I have to please is God. Well, first of all, that's one person. That's not a complete audience. Do I hate anybody? Absolutely not. I just love them too much not to tell them the truth. Was I trying to be mean-spirited? Absolutely not. Was I trying to hurt somebody's feelings? Absolutely not. I was simply doing what I had to do, and that's what I have to do as a Christian minister. He won't be back, I'm pretty sure.
chances are not good. Now, granted, baccalaureate is a religious service that is general. It's generally a non-denominational Christian-oriented service, and it is optional. But still, I think even the point of these parents with at this Christian-oriented service were offended, and I love that.
But
me,
to
it's another.
choose that as your subject, I mean, there's a lot of things you could talk about about loving each other and going out in the world and doing good and clothing the poor and feeding the hungry. I mean, come on.
Why are so many homophobes obsessed with us?
They really are.
Ugh.
Because we are winning. That's why.
I mean, I'll be honest. I like the attention.
Oh, you found
Thank you. Well, John found the picture of Patrick the butt, and it's now in the. And I just wanted y'all to
with
see that.
somebody's hand. It looks like a fisting thing.
Oh, well, it could just be like Kermit the Frog.
That, my friends, was the gay gasp that Emerson College. Oh!
All right, and one more checking in with crazy. Paul Shepard is a Republican Idaho state representative who forgot to renew his website. So a student gay activist named Dylan Haley took it over and made it about the struggles of LGBT people in Idaho, which I love, saying he could have it back if he made a donation to an LGBT cause. I love it. It's like cyber activism. You snooze, you lose, you lost your website. Shepard's response was to say, slave owners were very good Christians and good people. He did add that he disagrees with slavery itself. They weren't terrible, rotten, horrible people, and that's how I see gay people. So gay people are like slave owners, is what Paul Shepard, an actual elected Republican official in Idaho, thinks.
Well, guess
Yes,
what?
John, that was your best use of that yet.
The Bible actually supports slavery.
So, well, that's
they got
what-
that one wrong too.
Well, no, I think that's where his false logic comes from. Slave owners were very good Christians because that was in accordance with the Bible.
Yeah, okay.
They weren't terrible.
But we saw that was stupid. We saw that was wrong. Come on, use your intelligence, people.
Oh,
all right,
I think you're giving him too much credit.
I mean, let's read all those quotes back to back if we had time, and you would just see that they really are gay activists, all these haters, because they are showing us what ignorance really is. Okay, Emerson, what's gay in sports
and finally, what's gay in sports ball? Apparently, the World Cup of ladies soccer sports ball is happening right now. I did not know. But this is exciting, and I genuinely love it. There are at least 17 publicly out women participating in this year's World Cup, 15 players and 2 coaches, including 3 on the American team and U.S. coach Jillian Ellis. I love that. 17 out LGBT community members. I think primarily they're all out lesbians participating in the World Cup. Of course, at the last men's World Cup, there were no openly gay male players. So male sports ball has a little further to go than female, but we have lots of ground that we are making on that. But yay for the lesbians on the World Cup. If you're watching, I hope you're enjoying the sports ball.
Yes, and that is our show. This was a jam-packed. Please tell me one more time how to say Madam
Tussauds. They're like everywhere. There's one at Hollywood and
I know.
Highland.
I've been in them, but I just can't. It's hard for me to pronounce
medicine.
anything that's kind of foreign oriented.
Blame it on the cold medicine.
But we thank you so much for listening to our show today. We thank Equality Vodka for being our sponsor and letting us be on the air. Thank you all. We will be back next Wednesday with more of Straight Talk Real Gay.
Up next, on air with Tony Sweet, and after that, the Ann Walker Show with special guest host Blake McIver. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Emerson, and thank you, John.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of hell.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UPNradio.com.